Today we're going to be talking about ruling out the sacroiliac joint, or SI joint commonly known as, using a combination of some sacroiliac tests, and then we're also going to use a McKenize exam to also look at the lumbar spine. So what is the sacroiliac or SI joint? Okay, so this is looking from the back. Okay, this would be our buttocks right here. And this is the two ilium, and this is the sacrum, which is a triangular bone right here. Okay, on either side, as you see where the pen is, you've got this joint, very dense, very thick, not a lot of motion on either side. So this is the right sacroiliac joint if you're looking from the back, and this is the left sacroiliac joint. In the same area that's very, very close is the lower lumbar segment. So this is, if you look here, this is the very tip of the L5, the tip of the L4. So we often hear about L4, L5, or L5, S1. Well, that means it's sacrum 1. Okay, so where does the SI joint refer? If you have an SI joint problem, I would say 94% will refer to the buttock region. Lower back, lumbosacral, that lower lumbar area that we were talking about here, that referral will be about 72% of the time. They'll have some referral into the lower lumbar area, which is why this is confusing. As we go down, posterior thigh in the back of the leg, sometimes even referred to as sciatica, that's about 50% of the time. Lateral thigh, percent of patients with SI problems, about 28%. And this is kind of comparing a few different studies. Sometimes even in the groin area, that's a percentage of about 14%. And then lower down in the foot, we're looking around that 10 to 5% can refer actually to the foot and ankle and region. So it can go down as far down. So you can imagine if you have a nerve issue coming off of here or an SI joint issue, you really can't always go by the symptom location as for telling us what structure is involved. You really have to kind of say, you know, as you get lower down the leg, less likely, but still a possibility. That's why you really have to test them and see if we can reproduce the patient's pain. So that's why it's really important. And you can see how these referral patterns are helpful, but not helpful. So what is more common? You can have various strains, sprains in the lower lumbar. You can have disc-related problems. You can have forms of arthritis, whether it be osteoarthritis or rheumatoid arthritis in the lower lumbar spine. You can have spinal stenosis, where there's a narrowing of where the nerves exit the spine. Spondylolisthesis, which is a movement or instability in the lower back. That's another condition that can be occurring. Quite frankly, you can have these fractures, or even like kind of with people with osteoporosis, you can have what they call compression fractures. And they actually don't need a big trauma. They can come on with even stepping off a step or something, depending on the population. And just generally like irregularities that are just atypical that can also give you pain in that area. That can look like an SI joint issue because they're typically more the conditions are lower lumbar, not so much upper lumbar. So we're going to do a quick overview of the McKenize method, and we use this to clear the lumbar spine or identify if this is possibly a lumbar issue because it's just more common to have lumbar problems as compared to SI problems. The history is actually very, very important. It tells us a lot about pain location, how the condition acts, what problems the patient has with it, and it tells us a lot about it. What we're also talking about, we want to know what are the present symptoms, what are they feeling today, because we want to see if there's a change in symptoms today. And then when did it start? Is it an old injury? Is it a new injury? And then after that, we're looking for constant or intermittent. Are these symptoms on all the time? Like, do you always have some awareness of buttock pain or whatever your symptom is at all times? Or is it something that only happens with activity? It only happens when I walk, or it only happens when I get out of a chair, or when I go up and down steps. Then after that, we start moving you through an exam. We want to see, is there any change in your symptoms when we adjust your posture? We change how the lower lumbar is situated based on postural changes. Do we have a change there? Then we go through an examination. We see how far you can move. Is there any movement loss from my experience, for, let's say, leaning forward flexion, like if you're trying to touch your toes, or leaning backwards? Is there any range of motion loss side to side? Is there any range of motion, and let's say rotation? Also, with those movements, we want to know if it's painful when you move, at the very end of the motion, at the start, does it go away, and where is the pain location when you move? Wow, when I move backwards, it goes down my leg into my foot. Okay, good. So we move the lumbar spine and we reproduce the symptoms that they're coming here for. We always want to also know is, are these movements painful? Are the movements that you do, are they painful? Is it the same quality pain? Is it the same pain you're coming here for? Okay, if it's a different pain, it just could be that you're moving things around you're just not used to. Okay, but we always want to know, is it reproducing the pain that you're coming here for? Then after that, the most important is we go through a series of movements in standing and also lying down, and we're trying to see if we can provoke your pain by loading your spine through different movements that you do. And does that create any problems? It could be a cobra movement, it could be forward flexion, like trying to touch our toes. Do any of these movements reproduce your pain? And also, do any of these movements reduce your pain? Like, wow, I have pain in my thigh right now. When I lean back, I feel less pain in my thigh. That tells us a little bit about that, and it also helps us rule out about the SI joint. So once we go to the end here, we have a pretty strong idea whether this is a lumbar spine issue, and we rule that out first. Because like I said, it's more times than not, there's more of a higher percentage or higher chance of a lumbar spine issue. Once we get through here, and if I feel like, hey, wow, I think this is a lumbar issue, I'll start treating the lumbar, okay? If I'm still in doubt, then I'll start looking, and I'll do a series of sacroiliac provocation tests, we'll call it, and I want to see if I can reproduce the pain. If I get a certain number of tests, it tells me, maybe the SI joint might be going on. Do realize sometimes when you're stressing the SI, if you have a highly irritable condition, sometimes it can bother the lumbar. So you have to kind of look at it as an overall package. But this is where we start by ruling out using the McKenize method. First with this most times, and then we start moving to the SI if we're not getting a clear picture. It doesn't seem like it's a lumbar. It may or may not. Boom, we look at our sacroiliac joint test. So what we're going to look at is once we looked at the lumbar spine, especially if we're unsure, we're going to do a series of 5 tests, sacroiliac tests, SI tests, and they're called provocation tests. Provocation tests. We want to see if we stimulate or we create the same pain that the patient's coming in for. Okay, this series was developed by Dr. Mark Laslett, and actually in conjunction with Dr. Charles April. These 5 tests we have are the thigh thrust or lateral thrust test, compression test, distraction, sacral thrust test, and the Gaenslen Test, which I often say wrong, so I call it the G test. We look at those tests, and if we can get 3 out of 5 positive tests, meaning we reproduce the patient's symptoms 3 of the 5, we have a really strong likelihood that we have truly an SI issue. Okay, so it's not a guarantee, but it kind of leads us that there's probably a high probability that the SI joint is the source of the problem. Okay, this test is a distraction test. We're putting pressure on the SI joints on both sides, right on they call the iliac crest, the bone in the front here, and we're going to apply pressure out like that and to the back. Okay, so apply pressure and back. You can do it a few times just to make sure and kind of gradually increase the pressure. And we're basically stressing both SI joints at the same time. This is called the Gaenslen Test. We're basically testing for an SI problem on the left side. We would do this on both sides just to compare as well. We're going to bring this leg up as far as we can, and then I like to apply pressure, a downward pressure here, a counter pressure. Okay, after a couple seconds, and then release it, and then we'll do the same thing on the other side. What we're looking for is a reproduction of the patient's symptoms. The next test we're going to do is called the compression test. This is done on one side. Like I said, all these tests I like to do on both sides. So let's have you roll over onto your left side. Right about where his belt is right where the top of the iliac crest. We're going to hands like so, and we're pushing pressure straight through both SIs. And you really want to lean over, getting your body weight onto it. Pressure on, and I would slowly increase the pressure over 3 to 6, and a little bit more each time. But really get a lot of pressure through there. Okay, this is a very, very dense joint, very tight joint. Okay, so we need a lot of pressure to see if we can reproduce the symptoms. We don't want to have a situation where we have a false positive just because we didn't apply enough pressure. This test is called a compression test right here. This is the lower, basically you take your point at the lower lumbar spine, then you have the tip of the sacrum. We want to be right in the center of the sacrum, or apply pressure directly down, okay? So we're going to go right about like so, apply pressure, and you really want to lean into that pressure so you get right down, but you want to be evenly and symmetrically applying pressure. Okay, 3 to 6 times, just like the other tests. And good firm pressure. We slowly increase the pressure as we go. If we get a positive early on, we don't have to go into 3 to 6 repetitions. All right, the next test is basically the lateral thigh thrust. Okay, so the symptom beside this painful is over here. We're going to be on this side. We're going to bring this leg up. We're going to bring the thigh across. We place our hands on the sacrum right in the center. then roll back so you have full body weight, and we're going to apply pressure gradually. Over 3 to 6, we're going to add more and more pressure to the end of good oscillations. What we're looking for is a reproduction of the patient's symptoms. This test we have to do on both sides to confirm, and that's the lateral thrust test, thigh thrust test. Now, truly what the gold standard is doing an injection of the SI joint with an anesthetic that basically, if you inject the SI joint, if you suspect it, this work was done by Charles April in conjunction with, I'm pretty sure he did it with Dr. Laslett actually. Basically, they injected that joint, and that's the gold standard. If they inject the joint with an anesthetic and then it goes away, that's truly a sign that we have an SI joint issue. It's truly the gold standard of diagnosis. In the clinic, we obviously don't have access to that all the time, and that's not something that's commonly ordered, but it gives us, as a clinician, an idea of which direction to take if we look like we have two separate entities, a possible SI joint issue. But those are some of the original studies. They injected these SI joints and saw if there was did it correlate to these tests. So in all, let's realize that if you're struggling with an SI joint issue or suspected issue, you really want to check the lumbar spine and really have someone that really understands those SI joint tests, and also a doctor if you can get a diagnostic exam, that gold standard, that injection in the SI joint. It tells us a little bit about it. Most times we're going by the clinical tests, and most importantly, looking at the lumbar spine first. And obviously other structures can refer into that area as well. You can have referral from the hip too that can mimic it. So you really have to have a good thorough evaluation. It's hard to kind of self-test this. So I encourage you to kind of look. You can call us up and get an evaluation here. Check us if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe, like, throw a comment in there. I try and address most of the comments. I can't address them all. Listen, I hope this helped you out. Have a great day.